Water's Edge on Truswell, it has a backstory that most buyers would completely miss. In 2017, the building next door, now called Essence, it caught fire while it was under construction and it burned to the ground. The fire also took out most of Water's Edge with it. Owners, they didn't move back in until 2020. And because of how the insurance rebuild worked, each owner had a chance to customize their own unit. So no two units in this building are exactly the same. This is a big deal because Water's Edge, it isn't a 14-year-old building. It's a 6-year-old building with custom interiors. I'm Mark with KelownaCondos.ca, and today I'm going to give you a detailed look at Water's Edge. I've toured a lot of units in here, and I had clients who lived through the rebuild. So this video is based on more than just listing descriptions and basic specs. If you want unit count, sizes, bedroom mix, and price range, I'll cover that near the end. But first, let's talk about what actually makes this building stand out. The thing with Water's Edge is this: it punches way above its weight class. After the 2017 fire, the building was completely rebuilt. And because the owners were able to choose their own finishes during the insurance process, you get a custom built building. Some units were upgraded more than others, and some definitely feel way more custom. The Strata extensively researched sound engineering and upgraded the soundproofing and the insulation between the floors. This isn't something that builders do because they have a profit margin to maintain. When you're looking at units in Water's Edge, you're not just looking at the same builder spec over and over again with a few different colors. At Water's Edge, the specific unit, it matters more than it does in most buildings. A close second though to the finishing is what you get for your money at Water's Edge. I pulled the last 54 sales, and the average unit size here is 1,837 square feet. That has to be one of the largest average sizes for a condo building, especially one that has 64 units. Units here, they range from 1,060 square feet all the way up to 3,335 square feet. So these are large condos. And for reference, only 3 units in the building in my data set were under 1,300 square feet. And this is where Water's Edge really separates itself. The Strata fees in July 2026 are only 25 cents a square foot. That is extremely rare in Kelowna, especially for a full amenity building with a pool, a hot tub, a gym. It's actually the lowest that I've seen. Before this, the lowest that I've seen recently was Centuria, sitting around 36 cents a square foot. But that's not really a direct comparison because Centuria is a concrete building with a commercial strata below. Southwind at Sarson's, it would be a closer building comparison, and it sits around 52 cents a square foot. Water's Edge is less than half of that at 25 cents. So on a 1,600 to 2,000 square foot unit, you're not looking at $1,000 plus a month in strata fees, which is often where a lot of these larger condo units sit. On the average unit here at 1,837 square feet, the monthly fee would work out to be $459. Even on one of the largest units in the building, over 3,300 square feet, you're still sitting around $834 a month. For a building that was built in 2020 with full amenities, this is one of the best value buildings in Kelowna. With the 25 cents a square foot strata fee, the amenities here are almost free. You get a pool, a hot tub, a gym, a putting green. You get a meeting room with a kitchen that's used for community events. This is a resort building that's not priced like a resort building. There's no concierge, there's no guest suite, there's no huge list of extras that sound good on paper but rarely get used. What's here is practical, it's well maintained, and it's part of the building lifestyle. A couple of quick things to know though: the parking here is secured, but most of the units here only come with 1 stall. And for pets, Water's Edge allows 1 dog or 1 cat up to 18 inches at the shoulder. So if you have a larger dog, that restriction matters. Here are a few things to watch out for. Out of all the buildings that I've reviewed, this one is probably the most important. If you have 2 vehicles, don't assume that you're going to figure it out later. Most units, like I said, come with 1 secured stall, and street parking in the area has become really tight since AUK was completed. There are close to 400 units now within a couple blocks of each other, and many of the buildings, they allow short-term rentals. That means more turnover, more visitors, and more people competing for the same street parking. The street parking in front of Aqua is also time limited now, so you're going to get a ticket if you park there. If a second stall is a must-have, you need to confirm this before you get too serious about the building. The second thing is construction type. Even after the rebuild, this is still a wood frame building. The 2020 rebuild, it improved the insulation and soundproofing compared to what you might find in other wood frame buildings, but wood frame is still wood frame. If you're coming from a concrete building and noise transfer is a major concern, keep that in mind. Water's edge, it may be better than many wood frame buildings, but it's still not concrete. The third thing that you want to consider is that this building, it sits on the edge of Mission Creek. Water's edge, it sits right where Mission Creek meets the Okanagan Lake. So it's worth understanding the history in this area. Back in 2017, Kelowna had a major flood, and the lake, it reached record levels. So Mission Creek, it also flooded during that time, which means that future flood risk is something that buyers should at least be aware of. During that flood, water's edge itself wasn't affected because the building sits higher, but you are still right beside a high volume creek. I'm not trying to scare you away from the building. It's just something to consider, especially when you're looking at the insurance, the strata documents, and just for your own comfort level being that close to the creek. So who is Water's Edge actually for? Well, I think it's a strong fit that if you want to live close to the lake and you plan to really use it. If you paddleboard, if you kayak, if you want to walk the greenway, you want beach access, this location makes a lot of sense. It also works well for the downsizers who don't want to feel squeezed. The 2-bedroom plus den layouts, they give you a lot of space and a ton of room. There's something else here that doesn't show up in the data: the community. One owner told me that during the rebuild, while everybody was displaced, the residents, they kept a weekly happy hour going for 2 or 3 years. Now, that kind of connection, it doesn't happen in every building. And from what I've heard, it carried through to after people move back in. Who should look elsewhere? Well, again, if you have a larger dog, the 18-inch pet restriction likely takes Water's Edge off your list. And again, if the 2 secured parking stalls are non-negotiable, but you still like the location, you should look next door at Essence. Most of those units, they came with 2 stalls, and they're pretty big, but there are no amenities. So the details about the building: Water's Edge sits in Lower Mission, right where Mission Creek meets the lake. It's beside Truswell Park, which opened in 2024. The Mission Creek Greenway is basically at your doorstep. So if walking, biking, hiking, or just taking the dog out recharges your battery, you don't need to drive anywhere to do it. You're also close to a few pubs, restaurants, beaches, and more lake access than you'll find in many parts of Kelowna. There's also a boat launch right across the street. The trade-off, though, is that this pocket has changed quickly. Since Aqua added over 250 new units next door, summer traffic and parking around Truswell can get really busy. It's still quieter than downtown, but Lower Mission in July is not a sleepy little area that it used to be. So Water's Edge, it was originally built 2012, then rebuilt after the 2017 fire, with owners moving back in the early part to mid part of 2020. There are 64 units ranging from 1 to 3 bedrooms. Most of them are 2-bedroom layouts, and almost all of them include a den. Sizes here run from 1,060 to 3,335 square feet, with the average square foot around 1,837. Recent prices in July 2026 have ranged from $600K to just over $1 million. If you want help buying in Kelowna, or you're trying to find the right condo for your lifestyle or your budget, book a time to chat through the link in the description. Or if you're just starting the process, grab my BC Buyers Checklist. It's also linked in the description. It'll walk you through what to know before you buy. If you found this helpful, give it a like, or subscribe for more Kelowna condo tours and building breakdowns. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.